Dummy Switch Pod, the boys are back. How are you, Chris?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're back. I'm good. I'm good. Cool. How are you doing?
I'm good. It seems like things turned out for the best, except for the Sharks.
Yeah, yeah, true. Um, Look, unexpected the turn of events from the Friday night game, Ulster Connacht. But yeah, I think the Stormers Bulls game, it went the way that we thought it was gonna go. The Stormers are enjoying their beef right now. They're in a strict diet, of beef strictly from Pretoria. So yeah, they just can't get enough of beating the Bulls, and it's it's funny watching the post match conferences, the coach. It's yeah, they have problems there, and we've been calling for it to say maybe fresh voices, because and
Mm.
also just maybe a rework at their squad, because right now they're not it. They're not it.
Yeah, let's start from the beginning. So the platform was laid by Connacht doing us a favor, home semi or even
Mm,
home final. And I think that
mm.
shaped the weekend. And I mean, you talk about we thought it was gonna go this way. Not necessarily, I don't think, because the Stormers in recent weeks haven't really been the Stormers.
Yeah, yeah, true. They haven't been themselves, but then big factor. Look, I think just from a psychological point of view is Dion Fury coming
Mm.
back into the fold. He was very much the nuisance. As much as not as impactful, which is understandable. In the game back, but he was enough of a nuisance. And yeah, the Bulls just couldn't put it together. And okay, they don't help by last minute injuries and stuff, but you give them credit. They did definitely step up. I'd say that in terms of their previous performances against the Stormers, there was a bit more intent. There was a bit more fight, especially defensively, where they were really fighting hard to try to keep the Stormers out. But at the end of the day, the Stormers just had too much quality for them, and they just a bit more together, and
Yeah.
a bit clearer in the way that they want to play. And it looks like they hit their slump, and now it's like they trying to come back up on that upward curve, and they're in a good position. They couldn't have asked to be in a. I mean, if you had given them a home semi at the beginning of the season, they would have taken your arm off for it. So yeah, a bit better from the Bulls, but still a lot lacking from them.
So it was Moody out, obviously Smith coming in and Huerson to fullback. They also weren't helped by
Mm,
Huerson going off basically the
yeah,
whole of the second half without Huerson. And we've spoken about it the past few weeks where Moody and Arendse really came back and they showed why they're those Springboks and they look like veteran Springboks. And in a game
yeah,
where they weren't necessarily getting the go forward that they needed, that spark was coming from Arendse at times, and it just shows,
yeah.
you know, in these are the type of games where you see who the real Boks are.
Yeah, yeah. You can see his ball quality. Just he was head and shoulders, I think, above his peers on the day, because you can't fault him as an individual. Yes, his partner in crime was missing, but then the question for me is where was everybody else? You know,
Yeah.
um, where was everybody else to play the supporting cast? But look, at the end of the day, it all starts again in terms of the decision making, and I think upfront. Um,
Definitely, definitely. Sorry, just with that point, they weren't getting the go forward. They weren't cleaning. They
mm,
couldn't keep a hold of the old ball. There was a
yeah,
moment where they had a scrum and Papier he went right, then he went left, then he passed his right
yeah,
again, and Cutley hit it. They have no. It's like you have a plan, but you can't execute the plan because you're not getting that go forward that you want.
yeah. That's the thing, is that when the Bulls without momentum, then they look very ordinary, and I think it's something that they should be looking at, in terms of how they evolve their game, because look, on the day, anybody can be very physical and out muscle the Bulls, and it goes back to were saying a few weeks ago is that they don't have those big hitters in their pack where you know that, okay, here, you know, you don't mess with these guys and they're going to come and they're going to give you something. Look, the intensity was there in terms of that physical aggression. You know, they wanted to try and impose themselves, but you know, a team like the Stormers, you need a bit more. You need a bit more quality to get over them, and it showed.
And a bit
on the
more
weekend
cleverness,
for me.
because the Stormers, their defensive patterns are so good that you need that little bit of spark, that little bit of cleverness, and they didn't have it. I will admit, like you said, at 10-0 down after half an hour, having no chances, they did do well, but I mean, after that, it collapsed.
They couldn't find a way in after that. But look, you know, besides a few, look, it doesn't even, you know, Kirtley was the only magic man, really, you know, few glimpses here and there for the Bulls.
Papier,
but then with the Stormers, Papier here and there, but then with the Bulls complete. Yeah, I mean, the Stormers were complete in terms of just from a team perspective. You know, they backed each other up, you know, the doggedness that they have. Then they also brought their physicality. Let's not forget that. You know, is that they brought their physicality as well, you know, big time.
And the thing is,
like,
they brought that physicality with Dan du Plessis in the midfield, with Evan Roos. Yes, Brink did check him, but he brought that physicality in other carries. They brought that physicality even on the wing with Zas.
Yeah, even on the wing with Zas. I mean, just right through, you know, in the pack, and you could see they were hungry for it. They were up for it, you know, and the passion is they're obviously playing at home. I mean, you could even see it with Ronald. Ronald was, you know, he was hyped up. You know, it was just, you could see the Stormers had a clear plan, you know, in terms of how they wanted to disassemble the Bulls, and they did, you know. And on another day, it could have been a way worse for the Bulls, to be honest. And I think at the end of the day, the scoreline, or them just even getting on the board, was just it flattered them a little bit, but they were nowhere. The only difference you saw was really maybe in the second half, where they try to lift the tempo a little bit and try and move the ball. That's where you could see some things. And then Matanzima, for me, I think for the Bulls, especially in the pack, Matanzima, for me, he I don't understand why he's not like a regular starter, because he brings a bit more, even from a scrumming point of view, because the scrum was better when he was on his
He's
side.
looking for that in Klabekanye season. He's looking for that breakthrough season.
And I think he's close, you know. But other than that, there's really nothing more to say about the Bulls. You know, they have problems in Pretoria, and they need to fix them for the next season. Otherwise, and it's going to keep trickling down. You know, even in the Currie Cup, we saw what happened this weekend. So they have big problems. But Stormers, we can say that, look, onwards and upwards for them. This is a big chance for them to try and defend. You know, I think a lot of things need to go their way this coming weekend in order for them to have the home, the home final. You know, so we're hoping Munster can do something. You know, but look, Bulls, nah, Stormers. We give them a big thumbs up, and you know, the whole of the country must be backing them to defend. But I still think they can even go away and do the job. I think they can, if it needs them to go away. I don't see Connacht being too much. There'll be a little bit of a problem, but I think they'll be able to deal with him.
No, I don't see them being a problem, and it's things like Yanshi's all of a sudden he's finding form. Lebok, when he's getting free and he's making those runs, it's just, and the thing was, they were sharp from early. It's not like they built into the game. It's from the beginning. They were that sharp team, and it just shows how much of a difference Dion Fourie makes.
From a psychological point of view. And again, I mean, we didn't even talk about Lebok, because I mean, he's just been Mr. Consistent.
It's just what you expect now. It's just what you expect now. And the thing was, there were always questions over his boots. Now he's kicking better percentages. What's next? It's like it's always going to be that thing where you're finding excuses to say why he shouldn't be there, instead of finding reasons why he should be.
Yeah, and I think even defensively he stepped up as well. You know, in his channel, he does make those the odd mistake here and there, but right now he's the real deal. He's the guy, and I think his spot. He needs to reserve his spot on the plane ticket on the plane, to France. So yeah, good on him. Good on the Stormers. Yeah, they are our last hope.
Yeah, big performances, Dweba as well. A few
Yes.
shouts about the ref, but the result was never. It was never
Yeah.
in doubt. Obviously, there's going to be things that are missed in any game, but to me,
Yes.
the thing is, it was never going to affect the outcome.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was irrelevant to the broader picture.
Yeah, moving on to your boys.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think it's like how the platform was laid with the Connacht win. I think the platform for this one was laid with just the injuries. Bosch out, obviously
Yeah.
Kolisi and Esabeth out. Werner Koch, I don't know if that's a management decision. I'm not the biggest fan of Ben Taps and together. The lock pairing has been brought into disrepute. A lot of slander going around there. So it seems there were two sides. There were two sides. I didn't think it was a strong team. How did you feel about coming in?
No, look, already coming in. I mean, I think we mentioned it even the weeks before. Say you take it's a bit out of the team. They're different. They're not the same. A shadow of themselves. Then you take Kolisi out. Then it's looking even worse. I think it doesn't help that you're taking out number 10. He's been the credit to, if you're being honest, he's been on form in the last few games. And you move Buta to fly off, where he's been playing better at fullback this season. And yes, I was a bit questioning the Ben Tapia decision for him to start over Janssen van Rensburg. I think he would have brought a bit more punch and intensity in terms of the ball carrying, and we saw that because that Leinster defense, they were up for it. But then, look, overall, it seemed like such a disinterested performance from the Sharks because they couldn't even get out of second gear. It just seemed like they were stuck. And yes, as much as they had the injuries or the players out against them, in terms of the venue where they were playing, watching that game, that was for me, that was a bit of a leveler because it wasn't as loud.
It was almost like a training
there
game.
was that.
Or like
There was that opportunity. Yeah, it had that bit of a feeling, and then of course when Grant Williams scores that try, you're thinking to yourself, okay, maybe something can happen, yeah, but then the Leinster player is just too good, and defensively the Sharks getting caught out again, and it's something that I think I've been complaining about for the majority of the season, even in their wins, to say, hey, but they're getting cut up easily defensively. And yeah, look, Leinster had to work a little bit hard for their points, but at the same time, it was also a bit too easy for them because, from a locking point of view, look, the young man that came in, he made a good account of himself. He seemed like he was the one that was really putting up his hand to try to carry the ball, and was also, taking the guys on and getting that go forward. The other guys were just, they were being kept out of the game, being kept quiet. Noche wasn't as influential. And again, it's disappointing because you've got a power scrum, and you can't capitalize off that scrum and put pressure. And there's no ways that you're going to win championships if you can't do that, no matter how many Springboks that you have in your team. Look, it was a shot in the dark for the Sharks. I would have expected a bit more fight from them with nothing to lose, but it didn't happen, and it's disappointing. Hopefully they can fix themselves, going into the next URC. But overall, in terms of the season for them, look, I'm giving them they're 5, and that's a low 5 even, out of 10.
Yeah, it seems Williams got that text that Yanchi's at a game, so he was trying to book himself on that flight.
He just gave us a by the way, He just gave us a by the way, don't forget, and deservedly so. He was the only one that looked like maybe something could happen around him, but everybody else is really it's hard to pick somebody and say, okay, yeah, look, you know, they were on a different level. You know, they kept everybody quiet. You know, even like guys like you know, there was good moments here and there where, you know, momentum, but then the inability to capitalize on possession, on field position. It's the same story. You know, especially in the tougher games where Sharks just seem to shrink. You know, and instead of just, you know, growing into that, into the sort of the reps that we put on them, or that they put on themselves in terms of the players that they have, you know.
The thing is, if your ball's getting disrupted on the ground and you have no go forward, there's very little you can do, and that's the situation that they were in. You know,
Yeah.
They were in it, and then obviously Mapimpi, bad tackle technique,
Mm.
yellow card.
Unfortunate,
but at the same time, you look at what happened to Dutoy with Furlong just diving over. For me, I feel like that's almost the same as bad tackle technique. Like maybe he should have also got a yellow card.
Yeah.
So there's, you know, things like that. But I think there was just that 10-minute period where the game just got away from them. And the thing is, it's with Leinster, it's always going to be the width and the structure.
Yes,
it's that width and that structure, and it's just there's no passion that's going to keep you from getting stretched.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just that making that adjustment into your defensive pattern, you know, and realizing who you're playing against and saying, okay, look, instead of us, you know, trying to shoot up and close them out on the outside, let's cover the field, you know, and let's force them to do something different on attack, you know, and instead of just allowing them to play their patterns. And that's what they did. It just seemed like they just had momentum all day. They go forward. They were getting over the advantage line. They couldn't keep trolling out quiet, you know, at 12. And his experience showed there, you know, with the boot, you know, how he was able to move his team around from first center. And you weren't seeing that from a Ben Tapuai, you know, who's a seasoned international. And you know, there's nothing that he brought, you know, that you could say, okay, you know, in comparison. Yeah, it is just, like I say, overall, it's just that it's just a 5 out of 10 performance. And I think this one underlined the Sharks season, the whole season. This game exposed, you know, that whole season to say, yeah, no, it was just a lot of noise, you know, but nothing tangible. And also,
be hopeful. It's the dawn of a new day. John Plumtree is coming. It's the dawn of a new day.
He's coming back, John Plumtree. So I'm yeah. Look, I am hopeful in that respect because look, John Plumtree had a lot. I think he had good success with the Sharks, you know, especially in the Super Rugby days, and I think he's a good coach, and he's had success with the Hurricanes as well. You know, winning Super Rugby. He's experienced, so I think it's a good addition to having back. He understands the culture. I think we'll see something different, a better style of play, more, you know, more accuracy as well, but also that ball in hand play that the Sharks were known for, especially under his coaching. So yes, I'm hopeful in that respect. But right now, I'm very, very disappointed. Right now, I'm very disappointed. It's just a 5 out of 10. It's just, yeah, it just shows. But again, I think from when you talk about the breakdown in this game, it shows the value of a guy like Siya Kolisi, and also the value of having a balanced back row, because
exactly. Sorry, if I can just go to the Stormers, how different the Stormers look with that balance, you know, back row. We are talking about other games where it's Ben Jason Dixon and the likes of other guys filling in. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Even Daimani was even on the bench in some of those games. It's not the same. But once you find that balance and once you get things right, that's when it starts to look a bit different.
Yeah. And I think you saw it, the Sharks. That's why they were just, they were understocked. Yes, I'll give them that. But for the team that they are, yeah, very disappointing. No, very. I think it's a hard one, especially for the Boks and that team too. It's a hard one to take, you know, especially if you're the Sharks front row. You know, if you're the Sharks front row and you're looking at the, you know, everybody else that actually say, nah, you know, we're doing the job here, but, you know, you guys are not backing us up. because that's what's happening, you know, and they're letting each other, they let themselves down and let each other down. But yeah, next season, you know, they'll come
Yeah.
back, yes,
There's
you know,
some
but we're allowed
questions
to.
around that culture. There's some questions around that culture and the players, and I think
Mm,
personalities as well. I think maybe obviously we're not in the team and that, but like there's I've been on about it for basically the past month where it's like there's that level of laziness that they do have, and it's a level of apathy as well where it's just, and to be quite honest with you, the person I think it's stemming from is Lukanya.
okay, that's a very bold.
I don't know, maybe it's just because he has he's got that slow playing style.
He
Maybe
looks
it's,
relaxed.
yes, maybe it's that. But I just feel like, especially some of the senior players, my Pimpy,
Yeah.
I think I'll have to rope him into that as well because, like that tackle technique and stuff like that. Yes, it is
Mm,
unlucky, but in some respects, it's also lazy again.
yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. You must loop in Fassi as well in there because when you're talking about that, I can see that sort of that attitude that it's you can't put your finger on it, but there's something brewing there that
It's
yeah
we don't really care because we're going to the box. There's a bit
yeah
of
the guys
that.
that are secure, that security in it to know that look, you know, because I mean, who else is, and I hear you, because who else is challenging they're 13, you know, there's nobody, you know, really the Sharks, there's nobody who else is going to come in there and challenge my Pimpy at 11. There's really nobody, because so yeah, I can see what you're saying, you know, with that but Plum is back, you know, so like you said, I must be hopeful. So let's be hopeful that he can fix things for the Sharks in the next season. So,
No,
so
he'll
yeah.
fix
But
things. He'll take the job
for
by
now,
the
we have.
plums.
Yeah, he's got to, and then they've got to show. And no, but it's right that you say that, because they've got to show more plums, because this weekend there was not enough plums out there. You know, it was not enough. It was not enough. Some plums were found wanting. So, so you know what? So for now, you know what? We are blue and white. We are Stormers, because they the only South African teams our lost hope. And yeah, we have to back them, and maybe they can do something special again.
Any closing remarks?
Look, closing remarks. I'm still loving the Curry Cup. I must say, I'm loving how the Sharks are setting up in the Curry Cup. You know, I think it's strange how Joey Mongalu went to the Sharks to be Curry Cup head coach. Whereas I think maybe he would have been better at the Bulls, and the Bulls should have maybe tried to do much more to keep him. But yeah, loving the Sharks, loving Cheetahs. You know, Pumas are doing business as well. You know, it's just, yeah. So it's just the Lions. They didn't get a good result. You know, it wasn't good, but yeah. But look, I'm loving the Curry Cup. So yeah. Other than that, we're supporting Stormers for the rest of the URC.
Stormers and Munster, it's your week. Dami Switchport, thanks for watching.
Let's go get it. Let's go get it.